The Impact of World War II in a Separate Piece by Sam Mulford. This is just some background information about World War II. The war started originally in 1939 when Germany first invaded Poland. A total of 16 million Americans fought during the war. Many young men, as soon as they turned 18, either enlisted or were drafted into the army. This war is considered the bloodiest conflict in history. This photo shows American soldiers on the front line of World War II. But what does the war have to do with the characters in a separate piece? The impact at Devon School. All of the young teachers were drafted into the war, leaving the children with the elders. Men came to the school to show presentations on why the students should join the military and find students who would like to enlist. Those were recruiters. Lepper had decided to join the military and was forever scarred when he came back. Finney didn't believe that there was actually a war going on and thought that rich men were just making up stories until he'd seen the effects of the war on Lepper. Then it really set in that there was a war going on. There were also impacts on certain characters. Lepper's mind was forever tarnished when he thought that the war was going to be something very easy, and it turned out that it was quite the opposite and that he couldn't handle it. The war brought out the worst in Lepper. With Finney gone, Jean had decided with Brinker that they were both going to enlist the following day that they had decided it, though Jean had backed out when Finney showed up. Right after Finney had passed away, Dr. Stanpole had told Jean that there would be many others like him that would end up in the same position very soon, as if Finney was a metaphor to what the war would produce. The war symbolized many things in a separate piece. The war in this novel symbolizes growing into adulthood. It helps to show the competition that Jean felt between he and Finney when Finney could not join the war. Only after Finney's fall did the school really become involved with the war. Finney doesn't understand enemies because he's never had any, and that's why he's denied the war for so long. World War II, while going on elsewhere, symbolizes the war that they're fighting back at Devon. The war at Devon is the war in Jean's mind between Finney and himself. It could also be in Finney's mind between Finney and the world. More symbolism. Propaganda used in the war convinced Lepper to join the war. The boys were so unaware of the war, but suddenly they were thrown into it. They were all just boys, and this turned them into men, the war did. And the same with Finney's leg. He was able and capable, and then all of a sudden he wasn't. He was just a cripple. The war shows that things aren't always as they seem. Everything may be fine in their world, but in the outside world, there was a war going on. World War II in the novel also reflects the lack of reality. They have no idea what's going on in the outside world because they're so secluded. Overall events caused by World War II in a separate piece. Lepper's mind was crushed by his inability to adapt to the military standards. Finney's hopes of enlisting were crushed because of his fall. He had told Jean that he was trying to enlist, and that was why he made up the story about the war. The war leads many characters to become quite the opposite of their usual selves. For instance, Lepper becomes more outgoing, when he tells Jean that he pushed Finny out of the tree, something he normally wouldn't say. Finny came to the realization that he couldn't join the war because of his leg, and Jean wanted to go to the war to avoid what he had done to Finny.